JavaScript is the language which your browser understands. There are a lot of browsers. Internet Explorer, I mean, the most unfamous one, I guess. Google Chrome, quite popular. Firefox, quite popular. All these browsers understand JavaScript. They know how to execute JavaScript code. So JavaScript is basically the language which the browsers understand. I mean, that's basically the language on which the internet operates. There are three basic things that internet works on. I mean, the web pages. I mean, the web pages part of the internet work based on three things. So that's HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. HTML and CSS are the static parts. In the sense, you're looking at this slide right now, and this slide is actually a JavaScript program which is running, which I use to create these slides. It's quite cool. These slides use HTML and CSS. So HTML can be used to put text on the page. So I'm putting a text here saying JavaScript Tutorial for Beginners, and I'm showing it in a box. So this is something you can do through HTML. And also I've put a green border around the box. That's what you can do through CSS. HTML is to render elements on the page, and CSS is what you use to color them or to style them. So where does JavaScript fit into this? So JavaScript is the one which gives dynamic functionality. This deck has 3 slides, and I want to move to the next slide, and I push the next button. You see how cool the transition is? We are moving from this slide to the next slide, and this is the functionality which JavaScript offers. JavaScript brings dynamic functionality to the web. HTML and CSS are mostly static. JavaScript is the one which brings this kind of dynamic functionality. JavaScript is now becoming so popular that JavaScript is not just the language of the browser, but there are other stuff. I mean, there are other cool stuff you can do on the server side also using JavaScript. And that's where lies the power of JavaScript. I think JavaScript is the language of the future. JavaScript is so powerful, and the features in JavaScript are so cool that I think a lot of things in the future would be done based on JavaScript. And there you go. That's the introduction to JavaScript. And I guess let's begin. To run through this tutorial, all that you need is your browser. I would use Google Chrome. If you don't have Google Chrome, I would request you to download it, and you can go along with me and learn and get into this magic world of JavaScript. To get started, all that you need to do is launch up Chrome. Chrome is such a powerful browser that it has a lot of development features in it, and we are going to use one of those features to learn programming and to learn JavaScript. So what's stopping us? Let's get started. So all that you need to do is open up Chrome and do a right click and do inspect element. So all that you need to do is right click, inspect element, and left click on it. So once you do that, there's a small window that opens up. So this window is one of the important windows as far as a developer is concerned. Don't worry about what's in here right now. That's not really important. The most important thing for us that enables us to learn JavaScript is this console. So just go out to the console. So it's the last tab in here. That's the console tab. That's the only thing we are really worried about. So what I'll do is I'll zoom in to that. I'll just make it as big as you can. I mean, you can make it big by dragging it up, and just make it as big as you can. And I would also zoom in so that you can see the console in very clear terms. So this is all that we would need to do our programming on JavaScript. So all that I did is launch up Google Chrome and did a right click and did inspect element, and then I went to elements. It opens up in elements, and all that you need to do is click the console, and you can zoom in as much as you can so that it's very clear. Okay, there you go. You get ready to get started with your first line of JavaScript. Okay, all programs are built upon something called a variable. So let's write our first line of program, and the first line is where number is equal to 5. So what's the line? So it's where, var, where, whichever you'd want to call it, where here stands for variable, number is equal to 5. So what are we really doing here? So all programs are based upon variables, and a variable is something which can store a particular value. So you can think of a variable as something like a box containing something. So I can think of a variable as a box. So in this box called number, the name I'm giving to that box is number. I'm putting a value called 5. So this is basically called a assignment to a variable. So I'm creating a variable called number, and I'm assigning a value of 5 to it. So this is basically all that there is to creating a variable. So let's say I want to create another variable. All that I need to do is type in var space and type in the name of the variable, which is, let's say I call it number 2. So standing for number, second number. And I want to store a value of 15 in it. So I'll put is equal to 15 and put a semicolon. Semicolon is the statement separator. So you have to put semicolon at the end of every line of code that we write. So almost all lines of code end with a semicolon. That's common in most of the programming languages. So you put a semicolon at the end of the line to indicate that I'm done with that line of program. I'm done with that statement. So I just do this. So I've created a number 2. So all that we need to do to create a variable is where name of the variable. I'm creating another variable called number 3. Number 3 is equal to 20. So I'm putting a value of 20 in it. So I have put a value of 20 in number 3. So number 3 is a box in which I'm storing a value of 20. So basically the way we can think of it is each of these variables is a box. So number is a box and the name of the box is number and the value in it is 5. So what's the name of this box? It's number. What's the value in it? It's 5. The name of this box is number 2 and the value in it is 15. The name of this box is number 3 and the value in it is 20. So let's say I want to find out what is the value in this particular box. So I want to find out what is the value in this particular box. All that I need to do is type in the name of the box. So I want to find out what is in number 2. So what's the value that should be printed out? It should be 15 because the value I'm typing the name of the box. The name of the box is number 2. I want the value in number 2. Let's see what output I get. Oh, there you go. It's 15. So it prints, when I print number 2, it prints a value 15. So let's say I want to print the value in number 3. What should be the output? It should be 20. So let's see what it does. Number 3, enter 20. So I want to print the value in the box number. What's the value? So number, I've assigned a value of 5. So the box has a number 5. So that's basically all there is to creating a variable. So this is creating a variable. So all that you need to do to create a variable is var space name of the variable, which is, I have already 3 numbers, so I'll create number 4 is equal to the value you want to put in that number. I want to put a value of 250 followed by a semicolon, which is to say the statement has ended, and press enter. What is this undefined? Don't worry about it for now. Every time you print a statement, every time you execute a statement, Chrome console will continue to print undefined. Don't worry about it. So we have defined 4 variables, number 1, number 2, number 3. We'll declare one more. How do we do that? Where space number 4 is equal to 15. So now, as I said earlier, number 4 is the name of the box and it contains the value 15. Now I want to change number 4. Instead of value 15, I want to put value 20 in it. How do I do that? The way you can change the value of a variable which is already declared. So what we are doing here is two things. One is called declaration. So I'm saying number 4 is a variable, and this part of it is saying number 4 is equal to 15. What it does is it takes 15 and puts it into a box called number 4. So a box named number 4 has the value 15. Now I would want to change the value inside this box of number 4. I want to set it to 20. How do I do that? That's number 4 is equal to 20. I don't need to put var before that because JavaScript already knows number 4 is a variable. So JavaScript already knows that number 4 is a variable. So the second time I'm using it, I don't need to put a var space before it. So all that I need to do is number 4 is equal to 20. And now I want to print the value in number 4. How do I do that? So number 4. So number 4 has a value of 20. So basically what happens when I create the variable here, number 4 has a value of 15. So in the box called number 4, 15 was stored. When I said number 4 is equal to 20, this is kind of a little tricky thing to understand because this is not saying it is equal to 20, but it's called an assignment statement. What it does is it takes the value of whatever on the right hand side. So the value on the right hand side is 20 and it puts it into the variable on the left hand side. On the left hand side the variable is number 4. So it takes the value 20 and puts it into this box. So the name of the box is number 4 and the value of 20 is put into number 4 and it replaces the old value 15 which was there. So number 4 is equal to 20. What happens is 20 is taken, which is the right hand side, is taken and put into number 4, and number 4, the value of number 4 becomes 20. So that's what happens in an assignment statement. Whatever is on the right hand side is taken and it's put into the left hand side. So that's 20. So you see that the value 20 is printed when I run number 4. So when I just say number 4, it prints the value 20. This is called an assignment statement. You can also define variables without assigning a value to it. So let's say I want to say where number 5. Where number 5. I can do this as well. So what I'm saying is number 5 is a variable, but I don't really know what the value it is. So this is called just declaration of a variable. Here I'm saying number 5 is a variable. I don't know what value it is in number 5, but for now just have a variable called number 5. So if you print number 5, the value, JavaScript says it's undefined. So that's basically saying JavaScript is telling me you have created a variable of number 5, but you didn't tell me what value is in it. Tell me what value should be put, and then I can go ahead and put a value in it by saying using the assignment statement. So number 5 is equal to 500. So now the value 500 is taken and it would be put into number 500. So I now print the value of number 5. It prints 500. So can you tell me how to write this statement for putting a value of 600 in it? It's easy, right? Number 5 is equal to 600. And if I print number 5 now, it contains a value of 600. So until now, we created 5 variables, number 1 to number 5, and we have played around with them. So a variable is something where you can store different values at different point in time. At one time, the variable can contain one value, and at another time, the same variable can contain a different value. So I can later assign it to a very different value. This is what is called variables. So variables contains different values at different point in times. We have seen how to assign a value to a variable. There are many kinds of variables. Variables which we looked until now are numeric variables, in the sense that I'm storing numbers in them. I can even have string variables. So let's say I want to store a name of a person, Jack. This is how we do it. The most important thing to learn here is that if I want to store name of a person, like a string, a set of characters, so JACK is a set of characters, and if I want to put a set of characters into a variable, I need to put a double quote before and after. So this is very important. This is what is difference between a string. I mean, this is what is called a string, and this is what is called a number. So a string is separate, is within double quotes. You can also use single quotes, but in all our programs we'll use double quotes to be consistent. So double quotes, the characters, and double quotes. So what I'm doing now is storing a string. So var name is equal to Jack. So now I can print the value Jack by typing name. So name is a variable that contains Jack. Now I want to assign a different value. So I want to say Jill. Name is equal to Jill. It prints out, and I can say name, and it prints out the value Jill. So this is a string. So this is number is a number variable, and name is a string variable. So these are two different types. So number is one type of a variable, name is another type of variable. However, how you declare them is the same: var number and var name. You would have seen other languages where you declare an number as integer, or a string with a string or character. But in JavaScript, you don't need to do all that stuff. JavaScript is type independent. So all that you need to do is say var space number or var space name, and you have a variable, and you can assign it to a string or you can assign it to a number. So there you go. The other type of variables which you find in JavaScript are Boolean. Let's say I want to store a true or false value. So I want to declare a variable is earth round. What does it contain? It can contain only two values, right? It's either true or false. Is earth round? It's a question. So what is the value it can contain? Is true or false? The third type of variables are called Boolean variables. These can contain either a value of true, or I can say, am I a good guy? Maybe if you ask my wife, she would say no, because I'm spending all my time creating this tutorial. But I would believe true, so I would put a value of true. I can create another variable. Is earth flat? A Boolean variable is one which can store a true or false value. So you can either store something like true or false, those kind of stuff. So the three types of variables that we looked on until now are string, number, and Boolean. There are other types of variables which are present in JavaScript, which we will look at later. For now, let's focus on these three types of variables. One is string, the other one is number, and the other one is Boolean. So are you having fun? I mean, we looked at, until now, we looked at an important concept in programming in general, which is called declaration and assignment. So we looked at how to declare a variable. Declaring a variable is very simple: variable and name of the variable. So that's all there is to declaring a variable, and semicolon to end the statement. You can also say name of variable 1 and also assign the value. So I want to assign a value. So this is basically declaring a variable and assigning a value. or I can assign a value to an existing variable. That's done by doing this. So that's variable declaration, assignment. And we looked at three types of variables. One is number variable, which number 100 is equal to 100. And we looked at string variables like name2 is equal to Ranga. Important thing for string is it should have double quotes. And we looked at Boolean variables where variable is true is equal to false. These are Boolean variables. So now we know what a variable is. A variable is something which can keep changing. Name2 is Ranga earlier. Now it's probably Jack. So the value in name2 can change over time, and that's what is a variable. Now that we know how to declare variables, let's start playing around with them. Let's see if we can do more with them. Let's start with an important thing called expressions. Let's see what they are. Let's say I have a variable of I is equal to 10. And I want to find the value of 10 times the value in I. Or I want to find the value of 5 times the value in I. So the way you do that is using an expression. I want to find 5 times, that's star I. So the way we do the multiplication is by using star. So if I do 5 into I, oh, there you go, 50. So now I want to do 10 times I, 10 into I. So what happens is 10 is multiplied by whatever value is in I, which is 10, and it prints a value 100. So I want to print 100 times I. So 100 into 10, the value is 1000. Let's say I create a variable called j, and the value on j, I want to put it to be 20. So I have a value j which has a value, have variable j which has a value of 20. So I would say j is equal to, if I say print the value of j, what would be printed? It would print 20. So now what I want to do is I want to put a value 10 times of I in j. So I want to put I into 10, that's 10 times of I. I want to put this value into j. So j is equal to I into 10. So I want to put 10 into I into j. So what this expression does, j is equal to I into 10, what it does is it takes the value of I. The value of I which we put in is I is equal to 10. So I want to take I into 10 and put it into j. So this is how we do that. So now let's print the value of j. The value of j is 100. As you can see, the value of j is now increased to 100. And let's create another variable called k, where k. And I want to put j into 5. So I want to put 5 into j into k. So this is how we do that. So this is both declaration as well as initialization, and initializing using a variable. So let's see what value k has. So k has a value of 500 because j has a value of 100 and k has a value of 500. So that's basically, these are different expressions. The other expressions which are present, if I print the value of I right now, it's 10. So the other expressions which are present are, let's say I plus 15. So I has a value of 10, 10 plus 15 is 25. I can do I minus 5. So these are all different arithmetic expressions that we are trying right now. So I can do I star I. So I'm multiplying I twice. 100. As you can see, whatever expression I'm trying is not changing the value of I because I'm not assigning it back to I. So as long as I'm not using an assignment operator, the value of I does not change. To change the value of I need to do something of this kind. So I is equal to I plus 10. What does this do? It takes the value of I before the expression. So the value of I before executing, let's find out what it is. So if I do I right now, it prints the value of I, which is 10. So I has a value of 10. I use a statement I is equal to I plus 10. What happens is the current value of I is 10. So 10 plus 10, which is 20, is taken and assigned back into I. So I becomes 20. So let's just check that out. So I is equal to I plus 10. What's the value in I? I has a value of 20. So as you can see, I has a value of 20. Now I can play around with it even more. So let's say I want to put j is equal to I into 10. What's the value? It's 200 because I has a value of 20. 20 into 10 is 200. I can even do, what's the value in k right now? K has a value of 500. So I want to put the sum of j and k into I. So how do I do that? J plus k. Where do I want to put it into? I. So I is equal to j plus k. So 700. So there you go. So we have played around a lot. These are called expressions, and expressions are there are different kinds of expressions. We have played with the numeric expressions which are present in JavaScript. There is also another important operator, that's operator plus. So if I want to concatenate two strings, that's basically name is first name and plus last name. So if I print the value now, name has a thing called first name and last name. So this plus is called a concatenation operator. This plus is called a concatenation operator. The concatenation operator is very useful to concatenate two strings. So we have seen operators based on concatenation and on strings, and also we looked at operators on numbers. These are different expressions which are possible in JavaScript. These expressions help you to really write a good program. Now that we looked at expressions and variables, let's move on to another important concept called functions. A function is something which does some good thing for us. So let's say I want to print something to the output. So I want to do something like, let's say I've been executing a lot of programs here. So I was doing where I is equal to 10 and j, printing the value of the variable. Let's say I want to clear all the stuff which is present in here. There's a function which helped me to do that. So if I write clear and open brace, close brace, and execute this, what it does is it clears everything on this particular screen. So clear is a function, and the way I call a function is by pressing a open brace, close brace around it. So what it does is it clears everything in the screen until now. So whatever I have in the screen, if I say clear, what it does is it removes it out. So it just removes that out. So that's basically what clear is. So clear function is used to clear the screen. So a function is something which helps us do a small activity. So here the clear function is used to clear something. So let's say I want to print something to the log. There is a function called console.log. So console.log is something which helps us to write some value to the output. So I can do console.log or double quotes to say I'm printing a string. If I don't want to print a string, if I want to print a number, I can directly do this. Console.log 50. It prints the value 50. So whatever I give it to console, it prints it. So console.log 100. Open brace, close brace, 100. So whatever I'm passing here inside the 100 is called an argument. We will talk about arguments a little later, but whatever is passed between open bracket and close bracket is called an argument. So I'm passing an argument of 100 to this function console.log. So this console.log prints 100 to the output. So let's say I want to log something, console.log 500. Okay, my screen is getting bigger, so I want to clear it. What's the command? Clear. That's it. The screen gets cleared. So similarly, you can print strings to the output, but as we know, strings have to be passed in a different way. So that's basically double quotes. So I put the string value in double quotes, and I can print that string value to the output. So whatever is in here is printed to the output. Console.log also can be used on variables. What do I mean? So let's say where I is equal to 10. Now I want to print the value of I to the output using the console.log. How I can do that is using console.log and I. Console.log and pass I as a variable, as the argument. So I am passing I. Instead of passing a value, I'm passing I. So what happens? It prints the value 10. So the most important thing is I'm not passing double quotes within double quotes. If you pass within double quotes I, the JavaScript thinks it's as a value I mean a string with a value of I. I want not the value I, but I want to print the variable I. So I want to print the value of variable I. So that's how I would do it. So I would say console.log of I, and it prints 10. Until now, we have looked at doing things once. So let's say I want to print something twice. So I want to execute 2 lines of code at the same time. So how do I do that? So I want to print console.log and 1. I don't want to execute this right away, but I want to add another line of code here. So how do I do that? Is by pressing Control Enter. So hold the Control and press Enter. Then the console allows you to enter 2 lines of code. So all that you need to do is hold the Control, go to the previous line, hold Control and press Enter. So press the Enter button holding the Control. Then you would be able to enter 2 lines. So I want to be able to do something of this kind. So this is fine. Let's say I want to print 3 and then I want to print 4. So I want to print something like this. So I want to print 1, 2 and 3, 4 to the output. So 1, 2, 3, 4 is printed to the output. This is easy, but let's say I want to print from 1 to 100. So how do I do that? The way we do that in programming is by something called loops. So there are different kinds of loops which helps us print in a value from a particular value to another value. So let's look at the first such function, first such loop called the for loop. So this is the for loop. Let's see how to use a for loop. So let's declare a variable I. So I is declared now. So the way you use the for loop is by using for. The first statement in a for loop, so for open bracket, the first statement in a for loop is called the assignment. So I want to start with I is equal to 1. So 1 is the first value which needs to be assigned to I, and I want to print values up to so I is equal to 1 semicolon I less than equal to 20 and I plus plus. Oops. Control Enter, and I want to print console.log of I. So let's say this is what I want to do. So the syntax for loop is very simple. Open bracket and close bracket. Between open bracket and close bracket this is called the initialization. This is the first value that gets assigned. So I first assign the value of I is equal to 1, and this is the called the terminating condition. So until when should I do this loop? So I should do it until I is less than or equal to 20. So until I less than 20, I less than or equal to 20, keep doing this. And each time after printing the value, increment the I by 1. So I is equal to I plus 1. So I is equal to I plus 1 would increment the value by 1. And I plus plus is a shortcut for I is equal to I plus 1. Instead of writing I is equal to I plus 1, I can do I plus plus. So what happens here is initially I is assigned a value 1. It runs the console.log. It comes here and runs I plus plus. So I plus plus means I is equal to I plus 1, which is I becomes value 2. And then it checks against the condition again. So is I less than or equal to 20 when I is 2? Yes. Okay, go ahead and print it. And then again I plus plus is executed. So I value becomes 3. Then the condition is checked. I less than or equal to 20. Is I less than or equal to 20? Yeah, yes, it's still less than or equal to 20. And I plus plus happens. And so on, so forth, until I is less than or equal to 20. Let's not worry about I less than or equal to 20. Let's make it I less than or equal to 5 for now. So I is equal to 1, semicolon. Semicolon is the separator. So you have two semicolons. This is initialization. This is the exit condition check. And this is the increment. This is called the increment. So first time you come into the loop, the initialization is executed. And the condition is checked. I is equal to 1. Is I less than or equal to 5? Yes. So it goes here. Next time it comes, it goes to the increment I plus plus, which is I is equal to I plus 1. So I becomes 2. Is I still less than or equal to 5? Yes. So go and print. I plus plus is I becomes 3. Is I less than or equal to 5? Yes. So next 4, I less than or equal to 5? Yes. Next 5, I less than or equal to 5? Yes, because it's equal. It prints. And next I becomes 6. Is 6 less than or equal to 5? No. So this exit conditions becomes true. So it exits the loop and moves out. So let's see what it prints. So you can see there are 5 values printed. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this is the for loop. Let's say I want to print multiples of 5. So I want to print the first 5 multiples of 5. How do I write the program? So the code is very simple. For I want to start with 1. So I is equal to 1. And I want to do it until I is less than or equal to 5. I want to print the first 5 multiples of 5. And I would do I plus plus. So this would increment I. And I do a control enter to go to the next line. And I want to print console.log. And what I want to print is the multiples of 5. So I want to print 5 into multiples of I. So 5 into I. So I becomes 1. First time 5 into 1 is printed. Then I becomes 2. 5 into 2 is printed. I becomes 3. 5 into 3 is printed. 4. 5 into 4. 5. 5 into 5 is printed. And then because I becomes 6 and this condition is not satisfied, I less than or equal to 5 is not true. So it goes out of the loop. So when I press enter, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. The most important thing to remember is after the first line, you have to press control enter, and after the second line, you can press enter as normal. So as long as you keep pressing control enter, you can write more and more code. So this is basically how you can write a for loop. So this is a for loop in JavaScript. So let's say I want to write the multiples of let's clear the screen, function clear, and for int I is equal, sorry, for I is equal to, I want to start from 1 and I want to print up to, let's say, 7 multiples of 7 multiples of, what should I press here? Control enter. So control key pressed and enter. To go to the next line, I want to write one more line of code. So console.log. What do I want to log? I want to write the multiples of 15. So 15 into I and semicolon. So there you go. Those are the 7 multiples of 15. So that's the for loop in JavaScript. So until now we have seen expressions, variables, for loop in Java. So now let's look at an important thing called an if condition in Java. So do this only if. So a lot of times we have this kind of stuff, right? So let's say I have int. So let's clear the screen right now so that we are starting off. Now I'm assigning a variable is earth round is equal to true. So what I'm doing is I'm assigning a value of is earth round true, and I want to print is earth round only if this variable is true. If is earth round is equal to true, this is called a comparison operator. So if is earth round is equal to true, so is equal to is called a comparison operator. Is equal to is a assignment operator. Single is equal to is assignment. Double is equal to is comparison. So I'm writing if open bracket is earth round is equal to true, and control enter, console.log. I want to put a string, so I open with the double quotes, earth is round, open bracket, close bracket, double quotes, close bracket, and semicolon. So what does this print? Earth is round. Let's say now what I would do is I would say is earth round is equal to false. So what I'm saying is earth round is equal to false. Don't worry, I'm not changing the fact that the earth is round. I'm just creating this variable with a value of false. So I'm assigning is earth round is equal to false. So the value of earth round now, let's do a, so the value of is earth round right now is false. So if I check, if I want to check if is earth round is equal to true. One important feature that you can see already is you can do a up arrow and a down arrow. So if you do a up arrow and the down arrow, on the rightmost corner of your keyboard there is an up arrow and a down arrow. If you do a up arrow and down arrow, you can go to the earlier commands you have executed. So I'm using an up arrow and down arrow to go to the earlier statement that I already executed this statement. So I'm going to that particular thing again. So right now is earth round is false. So if is earth round is equal to true, print this. So since earth round has a value of false, so this condition does not hold good. So this statement will not be executed. So let's run this. So you'd see that the output, nothing is printed. Earth is round is not printed to the output. If we looked at it here, earth is round is printed to the output. So earth is round is printed here. However, in this particular statement, earth is round is not printed to the output. That's because here, when I executed this statement, is earth round was true, and here is earth round is false. So this is what is called a if statement. If statement is used to check for a condition. If this condition is true, then execute this line of code. So let's just write a simple thing to find out. Let's do a clear first, and I've cleared the screen again, and I want to assign a variable number is equal to 5. I want to find out if this number is odd or even. If this number is odd or even. So there is an important operator that we missed discussing earlier, which is called a modulus operator. So the modulus operator actually gives the remainder. So remainder. So let's say I want to divide. I want to find out what is the remainder when 5 is divided by 2. So when 5 is divided by 2, the remainder is 1. So you can see that it prints 1. When 4 is divided by 2, the remainder is 0. So this modulus operator gives you the remainder when a number is divided by another. So for example, 7 mod 3. So when 7 is divided by 3, 3 to 6, so 7 minus 6 is 1. So 7 mod 3 should give you a value of 1. So this modulus operator can be used to find out if a number is odd or even. So I want to find out if number is equal to 5. So if number is equal to 5, I want to print number is even. Let's try that now. So let's say if number is even, so I want to print. So number, the condition for even is number when divided by 2, the remainder should be 0. That's basically the condition for an even number. So if open bracket number mod 2 is equal to 0, that's the condition for some number being even, and I press control enter to go to the next line. I want to print console.log number is even. So what would be the output here? Number has a value of 5. So number mod 2, 5 mod 2 is 1, and it's not equal to 0. So this statement will not be printed. Let's see what happens. So as you can see, number is even is not printed to the output. So let's just now change the value in number. I want to put number is equal to, instead of 5, I'll put number is equal to 6. And I would execute the previous statement again. The way we can access it is by the up arrow and the down arrow. You can go ahead and try it. And you go to this statement. Number has a value 6. So 6 mod 2 is now 0. So 6 divided by 2 leaves no remainder. So now it prints number is even. That's cool. So if I want to find out if number is odd, how do you do it? Just think about it. If I want to print if the number is odd. Stop the video and probably think about it a little, and I'm creating a variable number is equal to 5, and I want to check whether the number is odd or not. The way you can do that is by checking number mod 2 is equal to 1. If number mod 2 is equal to 1, then number is odd. There you go. Number is odd. Let's change the value in number. Instead of number is equal to 5, I would put number is 6. Now, what would be the output if I run this? It wouldn't print anything because 6 mod 2, value in number is 6. 6 mod 2 is 0, and it's not equal to 1. So it prints number is equal to odd. So now I want to write both the things at the same time. So if number mod 2 is equal to 0, and like I want to print number is odd or number is even based on what the condition matches. So basically what I want to do is, if the number is divisible by 2, then I want to print number is even. Else I want to print number is odd. So that syntax also exists in JavaScript. So this is called the if-else statement. until now we have looked at the if statement. So now we are going to look at the if else statement. This syntax is very simple. So I have a number, the value of number is 5. So if number mod 2 is equal to 0. If number mod 2 is equal to 0, control enter, console dot log number is even. Again control enter. If this condition is not true, how do you write that? So if this condition is true, do this. However, if this condition is not true, what do you do? That's where the else statement comes into picture. So I can write else and control enter. What if that statement is not true? Then the number is odd. So this is basically if this condition is true, then this line, else this line. So you'd see that number has a value of 5. So this condition, number mod 2 is equal to 0, is not true. So number is odd is printed. So you can see that number is odd is printed. So however, if I put number is equal to 6, so I'm putting a value of 6 into number, and let's see what happens now. I'm executing the statement again using the up arrow. So if number mod 2 is equal to 0, console.log number is even. So the same string, but number has a value of 6. 6 mod 2 is equal to 0. So number is even is executed. So there you go. The output is number is even. So this is a if else statement. A if else statement is used when I want to check if a condition is true, do this, else do something else. So in these kind of situations, I can use if else statements. Let's end our first tutorial in here. In this tutorial, we looked at how to really get started with JavaScript programming. We looked at how to do different things in Chrome browser, and in the next tutorial, we would really start writing code including in a HTML page, and see how you can use JavaScript to do stuff on the web page. So how in the next tutorial we will look at how you can include a JavaScript in a HTML file, in a some text file, and how you can run JavaScript program in there. And we will look at other important concepts in JavaScript like functions, objects, arrays, and stuff like this. Make sure you write a lot of things on the console, play around with the console. Console is a great way to learn programs because it gives immediate feedback. If I make a mistake, if I do something wrong, crazy, it tells me immediately. So console is a great way to play around. Just play around with the console and be ready for the next tutorial. Until then, bye.